You heard of the 8 degrees of separation, right?
To a degree, I kind of
Or I don't know if it's 6 or 8. I'm not sure.
I definitely know like the concept of sort of like
Right.
For
every 8th person you know everybody else in New York or something like that.
Like there's like a thread you can kind of.
Yeah, I think it's true. I guess New York is ever changing. Look at our mayor now. You know,
Sure.
I know you've definitely voiced your opinion about Mamdani, and you're definitely for pro Mamdani, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I got some homies that don't really fuck with Mamdani, yo. But I find it interesting because we are having this first moment, I feel like, in our lifetime, it kind of feels like, where we have someone that really wants to fight for us.
So that's like the weird thing with like the politics, right?
It makes you feel that way.
So much of it is not that, you know, or like,
right.
Or like someone starts out
like that,
idealistic, and then they get like chewed up by the machine,
right.
Or they become a part of it out of like ease of, or what's like, you know, obviously at like a much higher level, like money and all these sort of things. So obviously, like citizens, we become so jaded because most of the time you can't point to like a politician, even if you're like it's the person you end up voting for or whatever. A lot of times you're still kind of reserved because you're still kind of sort of part of this same machine,
right?
And like it's like, you know, you kind of then you step into the water a little bit when someone feels like they might be a little bit different, and then you also hope that they kind of stay different in the sense that you hope that eventually people come along that whether you kind of are agreeing with everything about them, that we're so desperate to feel like someone actually like will genuinely give a shit that I think as much as there's like a core that does not like him at all, there's also a lot of people in this city that I would have never thought I would have ever supported him that do.
Really?
And I think
break that down a little bit. You don't have to say the person, but the character.
No, like on the large scale, like the national level, right? Like you have to usually pick between like one person or the other, and it's like
the red or blue wire,
and neither of that person could ever fit like the total package for any one individual like American citizen. It's just not. It's not like a thing that could ever happen. Right. And obviously, we live in like the largest city, and so that's also kind of not possible. But when you break things down, and I think we've talked about it before, is like the idea of curious conversation and like earnest approach to like difference, and that he kind of did that, in my opinion, in many ways. And there's videos you watch of him sitting across from like union workers that were straight up telling him like, I didn't vote for you and I wouldn't. But when you're like face to face with someone that seems genuine and earnest, it's not like they reached across the table and like hit him in the face, you know, because they were like, he's actually like at the table. Or like where I live in the City Island, he's the only mayoral candidate, I think, like ever, that's ever gone to that part of the Bronx, ever. And like this is before he was even voted in. And went to like the small businesses, kind of like block by block, and was asking the business owners, not like, will you vote for me? But like, what is the thing that you need?
Right.
And like talking to them, and some of them straight up telling him like, I'm never voting for you. But then them all leaving where like, even if they did
perplexed,
most people didn't, like in the coffee shop and stuff, you didn't hear people that like met him when he came that even didn't like him say like a bad thing, because he came off pretty friendly and kind of inquisitive. And maybe it just came down to the fact that they're like, I'm never voting for like a Democrat or whatever it is. That I feel like other parts across the city are, you know, there's been different, I don't know, when you just reach out to working class people in a way that first is like a curious thing of like, what is it you need? Most politicians are like honestly never asking that, or also never doing it in person. You know, like, and then some like, oh well, it's all performative. It's like, well, to be any kind of politician, there's a performance to it, to what you want to gain out of it.
Yeah.
But like him when he walked from the top of the city down to the Staten Island ferry that one day, you could call it performative all you want, but
who's
like
doing that?
Andrew Cuomo physically wouldn't have been able to do that, and like he did it. And you would think that if people really hated him, they would have been fucking screaming and yelling at him. And instead, people were just joining in with him. And he's kind of to the degree of like, kindness gets you a long way. Ultimately, someone might disagree with you.
Yeah.
But to approach with an affable, genuine kind of like inquisitiveness with what seems like a real smile and energy for the city that he loves. It's much harder to be confrontational to that, even if you completely disagree with like the policies he wants to put. Right? He's not coming at you like rubbing sandpaper against you. You know, like he's genuine, and then accepting that like some people are just obviously never gonna like me in this city.
Yeah,
but that shouldn't stop me from being their representative. And I think the one thing that's really throwing people for a loop is that he's proven, again, whether or not you like his policies, the one thing he's proven across the board is that it is not as difficult for a politician to do something if they actually gave a fuck. Right? Like, he came in and, like, over the first couple of weeks was, you know, like the child care that then he did in coordination with the entire state and the governor. You know, like, he's proven that if you just have effective leadership, you can clear the fucking biggest city in the world of the snow in less than 12 hours.
Quick.
Where every mayor on different sides of the aisle previously, this would have been a fucking clusterfuck. I'm just saying, just mechanically, departmentally, he's shown, whether you hate him, like him, that a person can actually come in,
get the job done,
and do things if they gave a fuck to do them, and that every other politician that's told you it's too hard or it's impossible is a liar.
Yeah.
Or they're just lazy. They just don't care.
Right.
And I say that as someone that like didn't like the guy before him, even though we're in the same party, because it's like in this city, there's a lot of ineffectual leadership. Both sides, Republican mayor, Democrat mayor, for a long time. It's you know, it's sort of like the concept. Oh, the city's too big to kind of like, you know. Listen, I don't doubt that either. Like they always say that like the second hardest job besides president politically is the mayor of New York City, just because it's its own world. You know, it's like its own country within itself. It's so it's just so massive. So you used to believe like, well, yeah, then it probably is hard to make things happen or get things done. And I'm like, yeah, like regardless if you like what he's gotten done, he's shown that you actually can come into an office and effectively figure stuff out if you gave a shit, right? Like, I think, oh, it's performative that he's like helping old people shovel their snow. I don't like shoveling snow, and like it's like he's still physically doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we live in the social media age where it's going to become a content video for him to put out,
right?
But he's still doing it.
Yeah.
And you don't think that like in all those videos where he's meeting with the sanitation workers and all those different departments, a lot of those guys don't like him.
Right.
But I guarantee they can respect to a degree. Again, way harder to get mad at somebody if they're nice to you. And if you go around to every department and say hi to people and shake their hand at a very small level,
you're making a connection.
Even if they hate everything about you, you're disarming their ability to sort of like be as confrontational. Because everything they've imagined about him, like a pin gets put in that that balloon immediately, because you're like, oh, like everything that's said about every headline I've read about the guys, maybe it's not as accurate, you know, because now he's sitting here talking to me. He's helping us figure out the best plan of attack for the storm or whatever it is, you know. It's and
don't you think it's funny that people pick and choose who they will fight against the media with?
Sure.
You know, and how they're not able to view that for their opposing side.
A perfect example. I'm leaving this out of it. Trump.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like every Trumper hates Mamdani.
Right.
And they were expecting Donald Trump to hate Mamdani.
Right, and then Trump.
But Donald Trump's an egomaniac who likes winners.
Right.
And people that are affable. And this is the city he grew up in. And like all this sort of stuff. And then everything he said leading up to that, once he won and then met him and he came out of that meeting, Trump yesterday in the State of the Union said something nice about it.
Really?
That the guy from New York is a really nice guy. And I hope everything works out with the snowstorm. And it's like your own guy that you thought was going to hate him as much as you
right.
even got disarmed by his likability.
Right.
And his like no nonsense to be like, this is what I'm going to do for New York City.
That's it.
And so like, the key guy you needed to turn on Mamdani didn't even do it. Like, and instead, every time they try to get him to say something negative about him,
that's a great point.
He says something nice about him.
Right.
You know, it's kind of a wild thing. You're like, some people have that effect, whether you agree with them or not. They just have that kind of
ability.
Like that ability to sort of like.
I you know what I find is that those people, and I find myself training myself to be able to get to that. I'm definitely not there, but I feel like they have the ability of zero bullshit. Like they're okay with just letting shit slide. You know what I mean? And focusing on the main objective.
Sure.
You know, and I think that that's what helps get the job done. And I think a person like Mamdani can see the good, and pay attention to the bad.
And he also does the reverse in the sense that everybody wants him to fail so bad that you actually look ridiculous because like so far it's been like an impenetrable force to try to attack because it's like, you know, I think it was like people were mad about kids having to go back to school yesterday. It's like, all right, but if he didn't clear the streets, if it didn't happen as effectively, you'd be mad that he didn't know how to clean the streets up. So like that, your biggest gripe is that they've gotten clean too quickly to get you and your kids back to work.
Right.
It's like, that sounds ridiculous.
It does.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
It does.
It's like, so now you're grasping at straws and every new straw sounds more ridiculous than the one before it. And that also makes people that aren't super online or like totally embedded in all of the nonsense be like, what? Like, you know, like that's what they do. You learn a lot of like, however online you might be, the majority of the country is not. And so a lot of the things are very regular to them. And so, and like that starts to become odd to people. You know, like I work with people that are not very online that can't grasp sometimes why someone's mad at someone or whatever it is. Because to them, they're like, this doesn't even, that's an odd thing to be like, you know, and you're like, oh, it really doesn't work as much. You know, I think they said if you took like the amount of Americans that have like a Twitter account is like less than a fraction of the actual amount of Americans that live in America. Like most people are not that
glued,
you know, like, and so like when you're attacking a guy about the snowstorm, to most people, it's like, what? Like, you know, that doesn't seem like a normal thing to be attacking the friendly mayor about, or like, you know, whatever it is. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic.
I also find it very interesting that he was able to literally just publicly say, no, I'm not going to Israel. I'm staying here.
And again, because
I think that affected a lot of other people's decision on him as well. Because to be like, wow, you're staying here.
He's the mayor of New York City.
Yeah, why do you need to go?
I don't care about his international plans.
Yeah,
like he can't ever run for president.
Right.
So it's like he can only be pretty much this. Maybe I think he could run I don't think he run for the House, but like whatever. It's like he's basically telling you my focus is the city in which I'm the mayor. Like, it's like, for a lot of people, it's like, okay, that should be the normal response, right? Like, to care that cares about, global affairs to any degree beyond how it affects sort of, like, the city he's the mayor of is, again, a very strange concept. That everybody has to have, like, an opinion about.
But they all have to check this box.
Yes.
You have to.
And the thing is, like, again, yeah, so, like, you could see how even if people are, like, fatigued with politics and all that kind of stuff, and even again, policy-wise, they might not agree with him. There are still going to be people that like a straight shooter, you know, to a degree. So, like, he's not giving you like the fluffy answer. He's giving you what the answer that he thinks. Like, he's giving you his answer, and then he's leaving that out there for you to decide if you like that or not. But like basically being like, but that's neither here nor there, infringing on the job I've claimed I'm going to do for the city I've been elected to do the job for. Like, that's the other thing too. It's like, you just want a mayor to be a mayor. Like, it's like, you are a bureaucratic job. I am your boss.
Mm-hmm.
Do things to make our lives easier, better, less complicated. Be honest when you have to do something that's going to be adversarial to the people that you're representing. You know, all that kind of stuff. What, I mean, I'm only 41, but like, I don't know any other mayor that took out a chart to show me the budget breakdowns, to explain why there's a deficit, and to straight up have line items on like lives to be like this. It's like, you know, again, it's like, oh, you're a bureaucrat and you're supposed to do a bureaucratic job.
Right.
And instead of lying to me all the time, explain to me these things. Why is there a $12 billion deficit? You know, and it's easy. It can be easy to just like, but like, other mayors rolling out the whiteboard to be like, so this is
what
why,
we're dealing with.
this is like, and like, he does stuff like that too. And I think a lot of working class people to a degree appreciate not being condescended to, being asked what matters to them, even though they know he can't do everything. And that the other problem, someone like him becomes scary to other people, is like the same way that, like, I'm not saying he is like a Fred Hampton, but just the idea that like you cut through the class warfare of something, you become very powerful. Because then if things aren't divided by race, religion, creed, and political line, but are instead unified by the working class individuals, you're like, that's when someone becomes dangerous to like the status quo.
Right.
Because then it's, you know, you're getting behind someone regardless of your differences with your neighbors that you have differences of, because they're like significantly telling the working class, I'm going to try my best to improve